What's your fastest pathway to the divine?
Yeah, I can close my eyes and open my heart into like expansion. I do the little self-hypnosis. I can put myself into a theta state really quickly.
Like how quick?
Probably within a minute.
Yes.
And then I can feel myself expand. That's my fastest way. Oftentimes I start to weep.
In the theta state.
And when I get into this state, I feel like it's such a relief almost. It's like, oh, thank God.
A relief from what?
All the pressure of being human.
It's a lot of pressure right now. It's a lot of change going on right now.
I think always, right? This is the school of life, and it's difficult.
Do you think it's harder to be a human than maybe other species?
Yes.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Do you think if we were other species, we would think it's harder to be like a Pleiadian or
pretty sure
or dog?
Oh, right. Okay. I haven't thought about other like, life forms.
Okay, but you're thinking
like a Pleiadian.
Earth.
I'm thinking like my dog
species.
is living fucking life.
my dog just passed sadly, but he had a great life.
Yeah.
Little Mugsy.
So I was regressed into a past life, I don't know, maybe a year ago. I mean, the first time I was regressed into a past life was with Dr. Brian Weiss, who wrote the book Many Lives, Many Masters.
Wow, you started right from the source.
Yeah, and I became a student of his too, and we went on like the Maury Povich show and all these talk shows for
together, the two of you.
Yeah, yes.
Like what? Say more about that.
I was 20 years old and had left school because I was sick, and I started dating a production assistant in New York City
at the Maury Povich show.
And she's like. Yeah, this is before Maury Povich did like fighting and like relationship stuff.
Right. Like,
and he was having like all these cool people on. He was almost spiritual. And so he's like, she's like, he's having this guy, Dr. Brian Weiss on, and he needs people to hypnotize and regress into a past life. Are you up for that? I'm like, absolutely, I am.
So wait, you were not into hypnosis. You're dating a production assistant. She brings you on the Maury Povich show, and that's how you get introduced to hypnosis?
Exactly right.
That is the best origin story I have ever heard. And did he hypnotize you on national television?
Yeah, he hypnotized me, regressed me, and then we came and talked about it on national television.
And did you realize you were a dog, or what inspired that story?
I realized that I was a Native American Indian, and that he took me back to the point of my death, and I was killed.
How? Do you remember how?
Yeah, I was shot.
Whoa.
And then as we came onto the show, there was a few other people that he had hypnotized and regressed. There's one guy that's like came up to me afterwards and so sorry for killing you. And I looked at him, and I didn't know and it resonated so deeply in my body that this was true.
That he had killed you.
Yes, but also in my conscious mind, I'm like, stop it.
I am on the Maury Povich show. This has gone too far.
This has gone way too far. But there was like this kernel of truth in there that we are way bigger than this small life.
Well, you were just saying that 95% of our consciousness is actually in the quote unquote subconscious, and only 5% that we're like handling the wheel of. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I've heard like 80-20. I've never heard 95-5 before.
Yeah.
That's shocking.
I'm sticking to it.
I mean, I believe you. But I just like, in relationship to this conversation of like, why isn't everyone making their subconscious mind their playground? If this is 95% of what is shaping our reality, and 95% of the money we're making, the people we're dating, the food that we're eating, the jobs we're attracting, like, why would we not do this?
Right.
But so what happened after the Maury Povich show? Were you like, I'm quitting my job, I'm changing my major, I'm going all in on hypnosis? Or because you're a successful entrepreneur, like you've like built many companies, so it sounds like you were also doing other things.
I started to really get, I think the second book that I read was Way of the Peaceful Warrior.
I've not read it.
I mean, that's a quintessential kind of like mind-opening book by Dan, I forget his name. So I read that book and I'm like, okay. But right at that time I was getting really sick. I got really ill with an undiagnosed illness.
Still undiagnosed.
Still undiagnosed.
Whoa.
And so I shouldn't be walking right now.
Why?
Because I mean, with what happened with my spine, like the fact that I'm healthy and walking and like not in pain anymore is nothing short of miraculous.
And how long were you in pain?
20 years.
20 years you were in pain.
Mm-hmm.
And how did the pain become your teacher? What did you learn from it?
That pain sucks. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so, I think when people ask that, they're like, what did the pain show you? And it's always that I didn't want to be in pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, you don't take a big enough step until there's enough pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so all it tells you, and all pain ever showed me, and I think all pain, because a lot of people are in pain, probably listening to this one way or another, physical or mental or emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And so like what pain tells you is, like you can ignore this, but it will get worse until you have to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what pain taught me, is that there's a point in which there's too much pain. You have to make a different change.
And so was it because of the intensity of the pain that you got into your subconscious mind and allowed it to be your playground? Or
yes.
Can you
So I started to like do all this exploration, right? And so all this exploration of the subconscious mind. And so if all these things are happening, right? And if people are miraculously healing themselves and doing all these wonderful things without, without finding drugs or a diagnosis, then what is actually possible? And so I started to say, okay, this happened. I was regressing.
But how did you
passive.
even learn that people were healing themselves on the mental level and with their subconscious? Was it through the books? Was it
through books,
Brian?
through like hearing stories, through things that Brian was talking about? He had this woman that had all these psychosomatic problems. But then I started to look into like spontaneous healings and all these different things, because I went all over the world. I went to 200 different practitioners, kung fu masters, grandmasters of kung fu, Tai Chi, like energy healers. I went all over the world looking for that person that was going to put their hands on me and I'd walk.
What was the craziest practitioner modality? What was the craziest thing you saw or tried?
I've tried just about everything, but I think the craziest ones were the ones that were a complete farce, because, like 60% are just people wanting to take your money.
60%,
yes.
You find?
And then you find like these gem of people that are like so powerful. You're like, oh, wow. Like that is earth shattering. I went to an Ecuadorian shaman in the East Village, not too far from here. And I can remember, like bring $100 in cash and a pack of like Marlboro cigarettes.
It's always the best. I love it when like I was in Japan and I was hanging out at this monastery. They had just recently started letting women into this mountain, Mount Koya.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I think like 1975, and they started letting women in. Anyway, I was hanging out with this monk named Nobu. And they were Shinyang. I don't remember the exact chapter, but they were allowed to drink and smoke.
Okay.
So they were just drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, riding motorcycles,
having
a good time.
Yeah.
And I made friends with Nobu. And then I know I'm taking us on a tangent, but I'm bringing it home. He then came to visit in New York City, and he came to one of my group meditations. And he was like fascinated that I could get people into this state so quickly. Like, I don't know if it's theta state or not, but he was just like, he's like, monks train for years to do this. I'm like, well, I don't teach monk meditation. I teach a different style of meditation.
Yeah.
Anyway, he shows up, he does group meditation. He's just like slumped over. He is like, good night, lights out. And I'm like, yes, like I got it. I did it.
Yeah.
And then afterwards I was like, did you guys see Nobu? Like he was in this amazing state. And they're like, Emily, he was drunk. I was like, damn it. I was all proud of myself.
Yeah.
My ego was like,
Nobu
I am an
passed out
amazing
in your meditation.
No, it was just some cigarettes and beer. Okay, so you brought $100.
I had to bring $100 cash and a pack of Marlboro Lights.
Okay.
And very specific Marlboro Lights. So get to this little old building in the East Village, right? And I'm walking I'm having a lot of trouble walking.
And how old are you at this point?
I don't know. Maybe I'm 21.
Okay.
And so I get to this little building, and it's like a 6-story walk up, and like this guy's on the 6th floor, and so it's like quintessential, like New York, like 20 years ago East Village, really dirty. And so we walk in. I'm like, where the hell am I? And like, all right, I say yes to all these people, and I'm going to continue to say yes. So I'm just going to do it. So I'm pulling myself up the 6 flights, and I'm just really relying heavily on the railing. The railing breaks off.
No.
Yes, the railing breaks, and I stumble back 2 or 3 steps.
No.
Like barely catch myself on
You're
the wall.
in pain.
And I'm like, I'm still going. All right, so get up there, open the door, come in. Did you bring the cigarettes? Yes. I guess I thought it was maybe ceremonial tobacco, but it was very clear in Marlboro Lights.
Wanted to have a smoke.
Maybe he just wanted a free pack of smokes. I don't know. So I walk in, and they're like, take your clothes off.
Naked.
Completely naked, and there's this one woman translating, and then there's him. And I'm like, completely naked? And they're like, yes, absolutely completely naked. I'm like, fuck, I'm here.
Here we go.
All right, I'm here. I just made it up the stairs. I have my smokes and my $100 in cash, and I just took off all my clothes.
Yes,
And
really
they're like,
celebrating your bravery. Have you ever had a moment where nature just drops the exact message you need exactly when you need it? Maybe it's a reminder to slow down. Maybe it's a fresh perspective on something you've been stuck on, or just the perfect nudge to help you embody your highest self. Well, that is what I want to give you every single week. A dose of Ziva straight from my heart to yours. When you sign up for my emails, you're going to get first access to the downloads that are coming straight into my heart, access to science-backed tools to help you stress less and feel more alive. You're going to get a sneak peek into my personal practice and all the perks that we only share with our Ziva insiders. You're going to get podcast announcement and exclusive offers and invitation to our events before anyone else. And because I love a good thank you gift, if you sign up right now, you're going to get a special welcome gift just for signing up, and it's totally free. It just might be the very best thing you do for yourself today. So you can go to the link in the show notes or go to zivameditation.com/whythis to get a beautiful welcome gift and to receive these transmissions from my heart to yours every single week. So head to zivameditation.com/whythis, and I will see you in your inbox.
lay down on this mat, and the mat is filthy.
No.
Filthy.
No,
Filthy.
you're naked bum on the filthy
No,
mat.
no. I was face down right on this mat.
You're
right?
naked hoo-ha, got
And
it.
so I'm laying down on this mat in this place with these people I don't know, having paid $100. And so he lights some sage branches, big ones. And then he starts hitting me really hard with these sage branches, my naked body in front of this woman who I don't know. He's just like pounding me with these sage branches to the point where all of a sudden how ludicrous this all are. It just hits me at that, like what I've done, and I just start laughing so uncontrollably, my body is seizing with laughter as I recognize the predicament that I just put myself in, and so he thinks that this is a true exorcism. He thinks like this is they're getting incredibly excited.
He's having an Emily Fletcher moment. He's like, I did it.
Yes.
Like I got
And maybe he did.
Nobo to transcend.
Yeah, maybe he did. I don't know. But he wrapped me up in newspaper afterwards and told me not to take the newspaper off for a week.
What?
Yeah, I put all my clothes on underneath the newspaper.
Wait, your naked body is wrapped in newspaper and
Now
your
I'm
clothes on
on top of the
or
newspaper.
Clothes and then newspaper.
Naked body, newspaper, clothes. Not to take it off for a week. And so I'm going into work because I was working at all these different startups.
Just really crunching
and I'm
some
like
paper.
crunching. I'm smelling like cigarette smoke and like. So that's one.
How do you feel about it now? Like, do you think this was just full farce, or do you think this was like, was there some sort of an exorcism because of the absurdity of it? Like, was there medicine in the laughter?
Yeah, did it like heal me? No, but did it expand my mind to such a point? Was I able to laugh at the pain that I was in, at the limits I would go to find a relief? Anybody would,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like it showed so much more about my nature to be able to open myself up to experience just about anything, to survive, to thrive, to build.
Mm-hmm.
That like, yeah, I'm willing to do just about anything. Now, he's not one of the most powerful people I've ever been to, but like I recognized something about myself in that moment. And that was incredibly powerful.
Wow. And then when did you find like the things, like how did you go from being in pain to not being in pain? Like, was that one light bulb moment? Was it a synthesis of many modalities?
That was a long time, and mostly that was forgiveness of myself. I had to forgive myself.
Of what?
I don't know. Of this belief that I was bad and deserved pain. Yeah. And so when I started to like actually resolve some of these things in myself, the pain went away. I had to go to acupuncture like twice a week. They would like do trigger release, like every muscle in my body, trigger release, and then be spent. And I don't have to do that anymore, just overnight.
So I am currently doing that. I am going to dry needling like maybe once a month, and I'm not in pain, but like I go and they put needles into my muscles and they make them spasm and then they let go.
It's not comfortable. It's nice when it lets go.
Yeah, it's nice when it lets
And
go.
it lasts for like 2 or 3 days, and then you're like,
a week or so.
oh, good for you.
But it's like, I don't want to be dependent on someone putting needles in my body to have a soft and balanced body. I would like to be self-sufficient for that healing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you help me with that?
I can try.
So spoiler alert, Gemma's going to do a little session with me at the end of the episode. Once you understand how powerful this wizard is. I don't know. Would you call yourself a wizard, or how do you identify?
That's going to be in my next bio that I write. Thank you.
Wizard?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, we'll see.
I've been regressed into past lives before where I was a wizard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've got Native American, wizard. Any other past lives we should know about?
So this is how we got onto this crazy tangent. I was the last life that I was regressed into. I was 100%, an extraterrestrial. It's something.
Do you know which flavor?
I have no idea. All I saw was my hand, and I was floating in space.
Okay,
Muerto.
So I'm having some big aliens coming in lately. So I'm gonna give you Oftentimes when people come out of medicine ceremonies, they'll be like, Emily, you showed up in some way. The cosmic Emily's very busy. And so my friend came out of ayahuasca and she was like, Emily, you were one of the aliens that gave the codes to the Egyptians on how to build the pyramids. And I was like, cool, great.
I love that for you.
I love this for me too. And so I meet Robert Edward Grant at a party. Do you know Robert Edward Grant?
It sounds very familiar.
He's a polymath and genius person. Like Leonardo da Vinci visits him in his dreams. He discovered a new chamber in one of the pyramids in Giza because he laid Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man on top of the coordinates of the pyramids, and he realized that all of the chambers lined up with the chakra points, but there was no throat chakra. And so he went in with a team of Japanese scientists and heat mapped it and found a new chamber inside of one of the most studied buildings in history. So now he has this unprecedented access.
Yeah.
So long story short, and I'm going to brag for a moment, is that Robert Edward Grant was on Aubrey Marcus's podcast, and I listened to it, and the first thing he says was like, Aubrey, you had a woman on your show, and she said, the one became two for the joy of becoming one again. And Aubrey was like, that was Emily Fletcher. And I'm like literally in bed just going to sleep, and I was like, Robert Edward Grant is quoting me right now, and I was feeling very proud of myself. And so I see him at a party, and I beelined him. I'm like, Robert.
I'm the woman who's,
Yeah, I was like, first of all, you quoted me. Thanks. Hi. And then second of all, my friend just came out of ayahuasca and told me that she thought I was one of the aliens that gave the Egyptians the codes to build the pyramids. And he was like, oh, well, that means you're Arcturian because they have Alpha Chi Omega on their sarcophagus, which I discovered, and that's what's on the Arcturian ship. And he wasn't even phased. Like, he didn't even think it was, I thought it'd be like a funny cocktail party joke.
But he's like,
no, like, this is your lineage. This is what's happening. Oh, did you know I discovered this thing? And then he invited me to go to Egypt. So I go to Egypt with Robert and 42 full witches and wizards last December, and it was amazing. Anyway, and then just 2 days ago, I was doing energy work, and for the first time, I saw a face. I saw this face that was not human right in front of me, and it felt like a sibling of some sort, like some sort of a cosmic sibling. And that felt exciting and new to me because I've had this sort of gnosis and energetic connection, but never a visual or nothing that my conscious mind could attach to or connect with emotionally. Yeah. And it's been a desire of mine for a while. And so I feel excited about the new terrain of the extraterrestrial.
Yeah. I don't know much and I don't talk much about it. But
well, no, it's probably not a great way to lead a podcast because our skeptics are probably like, I'm out.
No, at one of the Joe Dispenza events I did, there was light beings.
They're coming in hot.
They're coming in hot.
Yeah.
And so the experience was a little bit nerve-wracking and then beautiful and
because
lovely
it was
once
new?
I got over my fear. I started to think about, I went into fear and I started to think about, well, if these wonderful, beautiful beings are here, what about all the difficult, malicious ones?
That's a valid question.
Right? And so I started to worry about that. And then as soon as you realize, well, they can only live in one area, they can live in one kind of frequency, and that's a fear. And so all you really have to do is elevate to radiating love coherence, radiating heart. And it's it's almost like you get into a different frequency. But so this woman, I have this friend, and she's like, can I speak to you because I have a client and she went to this Joe Dispenza event and everything shifted for her and now she's at home and she's seeing lights in her kitchen and she's so freaked out and I was like, oh, she opened up her third eye, opened up so much that now she's seeing things. And I'm like, she doesn't have to be. I don't know what advice to give you other than you got to open, make sure you elevate into love.
Yeah.
So, but yes, that's something that the mystical I've been really interested in.
And so when you're working with folks, well, so first of all, I want to just, for me selfishly, I want to understand your journey a little bit more, because
Right.
it's not that common that someone's like building multiple very successful businesses and simultaneously healing themselves of debilitating illnesses and becoming a masterful healer.
Yeah.
So I just want to understand, like, was it like, oh, I figured it out, I stopped the pain, and then you started building the businesses, or were you doing them simultaneously? And then
I
when
was
did you
building
shift
those
from-
businesses because I was so I didn't want to focus on my pain. That was the hard stuff.
So you were like, let me just keep
work
it.
80 hours a week, and what can I do? Maybe I can help some people. Like, okay, like, oh, I love this idea of WebMD. How can I become an executive there so I can help push this out? And then starting my own businesses, and then everyday
And you
health.
started IIN.
I did not start
Okay,
IIN.
but what did you do there?
I was the president of IIN.
Okay.
This guy, Joshua Rosenthal, started it for many years, and he was a very interesting and powerful man himself. And he sold the business.
Okay.
And then I came in to help run it.
He sold it, and you became president once the new buyer came in.
Yeah.
Okay.
New private equity firm.
So you were working 80 hours a week as a way to not feel the pain.
As a way not to look into like really what the true pain is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And any clues as to like what you had to forgive yourself for, or like where the true pain originated?
Yeah, I think there was a lot with like father.
Welcome to the club.
Like a lot with father, a lot with mother.
Yeah.
There was
both. You had both.
Yeah, and
Okay.
that's what we got to get in. Well, we'll get in at some point, but it's all programming, right? So, and each part of your body holds like the emotion from a parent, and so I had to go in and forgive myself for feeling as though, and neglecting myself, feeling as though it wasn't enough, and not only not enough, but feeling as though I was bad. And I'd never, of course, humans are bad at times, but not bad. Like I had never done anything
You
bad.
know, like do some bad stuff. It doesn't
No,
make us inherently
but when there's
bad.
abuse as a child, you immediately feel guilty as if you've done something wrong.
Yeah.
And you carry and carry and carry that until you can let go of it.
Mm-hmm. And what was there an aha moment? Was there was it amount of time with the tools? But like, when did you get out of pain? When did you realize that you could liberate yourself from that 5% and access the 95?
So I'd go and do these crazy retreats, or I'd like spend hours in meditation, or I'd like do the hypnosis, and for periods of time it'd go away. Periods of time, and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so much better. And I'd be like, I don't do this all the time. And then it would slip back. And then about 3 years ago, it's like when it really clicked.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
So you had pain for 20 years.
Yeah, I'm 49 years old.
Okay.
And it started at 21. So I was in pain for a long time. And then 3 years ago, I was like, oh, like this, like I was able to do the subconscious work. And it's like, well, what did you do exactly? That's what people want. What did you do exactly? And I was like, well, I went in there.
Went in where?
I went into the quantum itself. I went back to that younger me, and I realized, what it was, what he needed. And then I went into a meditation, and like my mother who had died, and like a quantum healing, and my mother who had died.
Wait, your mother, you're in a quantum healing. And
I'm in a quantum
your,
healing, and the mother that had died and my grandfather are both there with me, talking to me like we're sorting shit out.
And then you came out of that meditation and your pain had shifted?
Yeah, it shifted, and then I kept practicing and kept doing. And
like lineage work, visiting Little Jim.
Yeah, more just like allowing myself to open up into just the coherence of spirit, of quantum.
Like just accessing the field of infinite potentiality.
Yeah, but yes, like of infinite love. Because when I can go into this I am state, which is not I am this, it's just I am. That means that I am not separate. I'm one with everything. And therefore that energy and that pain, that sadness, that's all of the human potential, not of the energy of oneness. And I can recognize that, like, oh, I'm actually just experiencing human experiences. And it's reprogrammed my body.
And so it sounds like you accessing not even the 95%, like beyond any sort of boundaries or borders, like tuning in to the field of pure love, like allowed you to realize that this body, this drop in the ocean is having one experience.
Yeah.
But if I can also access this field, then there is this other experience available to me.
Yeah.
Is that?
And then when I started to realize is this, like I'm teaching this, doing this, but I'm still walking with a limp. So am I a fraud?
Are you?
So then I had to do that. I had to go back in and say, what part of you, like, what, do you need to be like miracle healed, like running out of this room, like, hallelujah, to not be a fraud, to not help people in the world. And so as soon as I can forgive myself for putting the pressure and fear of myself being a fraud out, as soon as I can forgive that fear and release it, so many things changed. I became more powerful, more able to see people and help them. So many things changed, and my pain gone. Even in the sense I told you earlier, like my knee is in need of help.
Yeah, like there's some stuff
This
torn in your
beautiful
knee.
knee is so in need of help. I love this knee, and I used to hate this knee. I used to be like, I'm so mad at you, and the knee would blow up, swell up, and I'd be like, oh my goddamn knee, and it would be so painful.
Yeah.
Knee still needs some help. This beautiful knee still needs some help, and also it has no pain. Wow. Yeah, and it's not swollen.
Okay, so many things I want to share. So if you have ever thought, I am ready for more out of life, more energy, better sleep, deeper human connection, or simply the ability to handle stress like a total boss, then Ziva is for you. So at Ziva, we combine modern science with ancient wisdom to create tools that actually work. Because stress is costing you much more than you realize. It can steal your focus, drain your energy, and keep you from showing up as the human that you know you're meant to be. That's why over 60,000 high performers, CEOs, athletes, parents have turned to Ziva. Our programs don't just teach you skills, they help you master your life. They help you embody your highest potential. So whether you're brand new to this or ready to take your life and your practice to the next level, the best place to start would be Ziva meditation. So in just 15 minutes a day for 15 days, you're going to learn a practice that will remove stress from your body and transform the way you feel and function every single day. And right now, I'm going to give you a gift, 15% off, which you can use at checkout by entering the code WHYTHIS. So all you need to do is go to zivameditation.com, find the course that is right for you, because I'm so excited to share these tools with you. I've dedicated my whole life to refining these practices and making them as fun, attractive, and accessible as possible. So go to zivameditation.com and enter the code WHYTHIS on the course that feels right for you, and I will see you inside. Okay, so many things I want to share. One, my first trip to India, I was studying the Upanishads, which an Upanishad is basically simply a poem where the theme is that there's only one thing and we're all it, which is like the most foundational concept in the Vedas, is that there's only one thing and we're all consciousness. So I was studying Upanishads, I was writing Upanishads, and so we like wrote our own version of that, and I wrote a poem called Aham Brahmasmi, which in Sanskrit is I am totality. Aham is I am, and Brahmasmi, Brahma totality, but Brahmasmi, I am totality. It was basically like a Muslim blessing on my Baptist head in a Hindu temple, Aham Brahmasmi, like witnessing the tears cried into the Ganga, Aham Brahmasmi, and like just feeling this simultaneity.
I can feel like it becomes electric in here almost as you can Aham Brahmasmi.
As
like
you say
is
that
like
word.
like just that chant is a powerful chant.
Yeah.
That is like a spell that you can create things with.
Well, Sanskrit is one of the oldest languages on the planet, and so it harkens back to a really old part of the brain. And Sanskrit is also onomatopoetic in nature, meaning that it is expressive of the sounds of nature. It's not connotative or denotative. It's actually like invoking the frequency of what it is saying. And so like Aham Brahmasmi. And then actually inside of Ziva Online, we use part of that as one of the mantras. So that was one thing I wanted to say. And as you were talking about that in the field of like I am, like my hands started vibrating. So it's like, you're right, there's real power in that.
There's a power in that.
Yeah.
Why isn't everybody doing this now? That kind of like thing. It's when we close our eyes and recognize like that, all we have to do is close our eyes to go into the infinite space of our own mind, and that the energy is literally at hand's reach. Like when I do qigong, I can actually just move. I can feel the energy ball between your hand. Now it's like we are energetic. We have an energetic body, and that is our subconscious. You can't cut your body open and find the subconscious anywhere. You can find parts in your brain that may propagate like different, modalities of thinking. But like, where is the subconscious mind? It's the energy that surrounds your body. That's why you have such reflexes.
Oh, right. Like that's like the thinking fast and slow.
Yeah. Or someone's watching you, or like you drop something and all of a sudden grab it without even like trying to. It's like there is this sixth sense of what's going to happen before you have it. And that's your subconscious mind.
So like you come out of that session and you suddenly don't have pain. You have less pain.
I have like no pain.
No pain.
I come out of that session and I have no pain.
And are you like, like, do you want to be like, start a podcast and be like, why isn't everyone doing this? Or
I also was, I remember, I was chewing 40 milligrams of nicotine gum a day.
Okay. Is that a lot? Nicotine's not my drug of choice.
I think that's a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I was fucking wired all the time on nicotine gum. I was like, I needed it. If I didn't have it, didn't need any more nicotine
Just
gum.
after that one session?
Yeah.
Whoa. Oh, I know the other thing I wanted to say is that last week I was doing an IFS session, internal family systems.
Yes.
Someone was working on me, and I was dealing with some daddy stuff. And I brought in not only little Emily, but little mom and little grandma. And they were there with me. And it felt quite transformative. Like when I came out, I was like, oh, the way I see men is different. And it was so beautiful. And I'm not going to liken it to like 20 years of pain and then it was gone. But it felt really profound that I was able to get into the subconscious to some degree and let it be a playground. Like it wasn't serious or hard. It was like, let me love on my mom and my grandma and the little versions of them as this like angel being. And I was brought in like Isis and Yeshua, and they were like wrapping them in this divine masculine and feminine love. And it was so beautiful.
Yeah. The best way to heal your mom trauma is to actually just start meditating on her as a baby. And all the trauma that she had, that she handed down to you, that poor being. But that's why I say make the subconscious mind your playground and like your sandcastles, like, because there's not one modality that can do this. Like there's many modalities that can do this. I have internal family systems, different forms of transcendental meditation, hypnosis, Psych K, all these awesome things that can do this.
Psych K?
Yeah. Bruce Lipton, it's his own like special sauce of like hypnosis.
Cool.
So any Psych K practitioners that listening, please give a thumbs up. I'd like to speak with them.
Really? It's like, this is like a nerdy form of
they're
hypnosis?
so good. Yeah, they're so good. There's all sorts of different forms of hypnosis.
Okay.
So anyway, to get back to it, like you can start to release these things in your subconscious mind, these triggers, these beliefs that hold on to such emotion that creates inflammation in your body and pain.
Yeah, it's wild that your knee used to be inflamed and now it is not because you're loving it instead of hating it.
So after this experience, like, right, it kind of wore off a little bit and I saw my fear come back and then my disdain.
For the knee.
For myself, right? Like this kind of, we all have this little bit of disdain. And so I would just keep switching back to kind of like the higher voice, because we can all get access to the voice that's listening to your negative comments about yourself. Mm-hmm. Right? So if you're aware of all those negative comments, then who's aware? Mm-hmm. So I keep going back to like, okay, so like, oh, there it is. That's me. That's the actual me. And then I would actually start
the witnesser of the comments.
The witness.
The person looking at the Instagram feed of the trolls commenting.
Exactly.
Not the commenting of
exactly
the trolls.
Right. And like the person looking at me right now, like up here in my higher power, my higher self.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that thing is pure love? How do you name that which cannot be named?
I call it just my spiritual self, my source.
Mm-hmm.
And this person is kind of like wise. This part is just a wise energy that knows all. And it's looking down and keeps laughing at me every time. Like I'd get all crazy about a relationship, a love relationship, and I'd be like, why isn't she texting me? And then I'd be like, oh my God, I'm feeling like, how come I'm not sleeping? It's like, oh, I'm worried that this person didn't text me, and maybe they don't love me. And then this higher voice would just be like, ha ha ha, you fool. In a loving way. It's just like laughing at a child, like at a toddler, and I'd be like, oh, I can expand back into that at any moment. And when I do, I realize that these problems are all a construct of my subconscious programming. And to release them when I do is a practice. And sometimes it's, it has an extreme thing like a quantum healing or something like that. But so when you release them, all of a sudden you release the pain in your body quite literally. Because fear, sadness, all it does is create pain.
Fear and sadness, all they do is create pain. But don't you think they need to be felt?
Yes.
So how do you dance that dance of, I believe that feelings are meant for feeling. And I actually think that
100%.
a lot of the suffering that's happening on the planet is a direct result of thousands of years of uncried tears. And there's actually, by the way, that I want to credit Doug Goodfeather, who is a Lakota elder. That is his quote, that the suffering on the planet is from thousands of years of uncried tears. But in the recent work I've been doing with Ziva magic and emotional alchemy, I'm just helping people to move their rage and sadness and to alchemize it. And it's been, because dance is my medicine. It's the fastest path to God for me. So that's one way that I do it. We do it through breath as well. But I think that I've started teaching this because we teach the thing that we need the most. And I'm like a world-class bypasser, and I think even in meditation, right, there's something I'm going to transcend. I'm going to go beyond. I'm going to elevate my consciousness. It's okay, well, why did I need that so much? Why did I need to regulate my nervous system? And then I'm not going to say it became an escape hatch because I am infinitely grateful for meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And in the past few years, I've really been like, oh, Emily, you got to go in. These feelings want to be felt. So I'm curious for you, how do you dance that dance of when do I go in and give the feelings the space and time to be witnessed and expressed? And when do I go into hypnosis and clear it at the root so it's gone?
Yeah, I think that fear and pain is very specific. When held on to or not recognized, it festers, right? Because it wants to be noticed, because it's an indication of something. Mm-hmm. But what we often do is we go into a cave with it. And in that cave is a bear. And I learned this in a training. So in that cave, there's a bear, and we try to either ignore that the bear is not there, or we try to just live in it with the bear, right? So there's an angry bear in here, and I'm in a cave with my pain and sadness, and I'm either going to grin and bear it, not feel it, ignore it, or I'm just
80 hours a week.
Yeah, or I'm going to feel it, and I'm just going to stay here with it because I deserve this pain.
Oof.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I like to see pain and to visualize it, and most of the things I talk about are in visualizations because that's the language of the subconscious mind, as a tunnel.
Visualization is the language of the subconscious mind.
That's right.
And then what's the as a tunnel?
So I like to talk about pain as opposed to going into a cave and living with it with a bear, no escape, because I'm ignoring it or because, I deserve it, to taking your pain into a really dark tunnel that you travel through to the light at the other side. So you feel it, but there's a light at the other end.
Okay, so I'm with it, I'm witnessing it,
don't
but not
live with
to
it.
wallow.
Yeah, exactly right.
I'm feeling it.
That's exactly
and I'm
right.
going somewhere else.
Yes.
Okay, so you've healed the pain, you've brought your mom in, and your grandfather.
Yep.
And you come out of it, and then you go back to working 80 hours a week, you start taking on clients, you're like, hey, I have to share this. What happens next?
I leave.
Leave what?
I leave the venture capital, big business world.
Okay, and go where?
And I go and get an advanced degree in hypnosis.
Where does one do that?
In California.
Oh, obviously.
Where else?
It was what a dumb question.
Shanti. You go up into the Agora Hills, in the wonderful world of Agora Hills, to a small land called HMI. So
That's a school?
Yeah, it's a school. And then I've studied with a lot of different hypnosis masters.
And did you get like a regular degree first and then get an advanced one, or you just go right for the advanced one?
I had got a coaching and hypnosis degree many, many years ago.
Okay.
And so like I've always been...
While you were being an executive working 80 hours a week, you just real quick on the side got a coaching hypnosis certification.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, going to all the retreats, all the stuff. I'm trying to learn. I wanted to break into the power. I felt as though I could become, I felt it, I've always been interested in looking beneath the fold. And like
since you were 5?
Forever. Forever, I've been interested in looking beneath the fold, defining the truth.
Have you found it yet?
Yes.
What is it?
Everything is a lie.
You heard it here, folks, kids. The truth is that everything is a lie.
We've fabricated everything. The truth is, there's only one real truth.
What's that?
And that we are infinite energy creating our own reality. And people say, "What? But I was abused by my, ex-boyfriend, and like, why am I sick? And like, why did my mother have cancer?" And that is kind of life.
Life
that
school.
is this is the school of life. And perhaps we're meant to experience that. Maybe that was happening for us or through us or as us. I don't know. But what I do know is that we are so much more than this day-to-day anxiety.
I find this metaphor or reality construct very helpful and liberating. This idea that on some level, my soul chose this body, this family, this lineage, because it needed to learn whatever life school it needed to learn. And whether or not it is true, like I basically choose my philosophies on do I like my reality more if I try it on?
Right.
And I like my reality more when I try on this belief that my soul chose this.
I really feel strongly, and it's interesting the way that you say that. I really feel strongly about that.
Like it feels true to you.
I had a soul contract with my father and my mother, and my soul said, I want to feel debilitating pain. I want to have to change my identity because your body is going to change so much that you'll go from being an athlete to something else, and to see that transition if you can make it through. And I want to believe, and I do believe there's a real truth to it for me, that my soul chose that life.
If you believe that we're like, once we access this infinite, that we're creating our reality, like what are you most proud of having architected from the playground of your subconscious?
A really thriving career helping thousands of people. I get people, I feel so good when I can see someone transform like the pain that they've been suffering from in front of my eyes.
And do you specialize in people who are dealing with physical pain, or what kind of folks do you specialize with?
No, I specialize with people that are just like kind of like living a life that is just heavy, right? And they have all these kind of, their relationships are difficult. They're sad. They feel as though they're not connecting to the beautiful parts of life. And I hold these groups.
Say more.
I do these live groups with people, and so every week we meet and we talk about these kind of things, and I'll coach people using NLP or hypnosis, and then we will go into a hypnosis session.
And is this your main business model, is the groups, or do you work with people one-on-one?
I still have a couple of different businesses, but this is kind of like my passion.
Is the group work?
Is the group work.
And do you find that everyone, like, are you doing laser coaching with individuals, or is it like people go into some sort of group experience and there's a collective healing?
A little bit of that, because they become best friends. They travel all over the world. Like tomorrow I have, 40 people from, 10 different countries coming in. So lonely people become very connected and friendly, and that's healing in itself. And I know what it feels like to be lonely. So I don't want anybody to like feel lonely when they don't have to. But I keep these groups really small, between 20 and 50 people, so that we
And they work together for a while.
For either 30 or 60 days, and then kind of touch bases after that.
Cool. How often do you meet?
Once a week.
Cool.
So we get in deep.
And do you do one-on-ones anymore or no?
Sometimes.
Yeah? Do they have to be fancy people or no?
There's some very fancy people.
Yeah? Anyone you can name?
No.
Okay. Okay, so you mentioned NLP.
Yeah.
Here's what I know about NLP. Please fill in the blanks. What I know about NLP is that most of the most successful coaches on the planet have trained in it and utilize it. And that is all I know. What is NLP? I know it's neuro-linguistic programming.
Yeah.
But like, do you do it on yourself? You do it on someone else?
I guess you can do it on yourself.